Before I start my talk, I just want to ask a very general question. So I expect some responses from you nice people around. The question is, how many of you agree that we learn a lot more from outside the classrooms than inside it? Whoa. Thank you for your responses. That's an overwhelming response. Thank you very much. My name is Girish, and one of the things that I'm going to talk about today is explain to you as to why you raised your hands and why it is a very important aspect of your life. I will relate to my life. I passed out of production engineering about 20 years back. And since then, I have been in many different areas of professional life. I've been an educationist, I've been a procurement consultant, I've been a futurist, I don't know, like numerous things I've done in my life. And for each one of those things, I never had to go to a university or attend a course. Fundamentally, each one of those skills were built through my experiences, through my connections, through my interactions with a variety of people and resources. This thing called informal learning plays a very key element in why I am Girish Gopalakrishnan. And it also means a lot to you guys because it will define the uniqueness of who you are tomorrow. Informal learning is one of the most ignored and undervalued elements of our knowledge growth. Research suggests that 75% of the learning that we acquire in our lifetime is purely through informal means. That's quite a lot, isn't it? Like 75% is a big number. Now, why should we bother about informal learning? What has changed over the period that we need to bother about it? Three things. The first thing is the internet. Okay, so we have access to internet. It is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. It's prevalent. Okay, it's pervasive. It's there. The second thing that we need to be cautious about is the information that is available on the internet. So we are exposed to a variety of information, right? Like through your YouTubes, through your Wikipedias, through numerous resources. So we have a lot of access to information to grow ourselves. The third thing that has happened is our ability to connect and learn, or network and learn, right? Like we are a very networked group of people now. We network with friends, we network with professionals, and we try to grow something out of it. So these three things lead me to believe that informal learning has a significant place in our lives. You all agree? I'm getting a lot of nods. I'll just take a few steps back to explain what really the learning process is. Okay, let's take a few steps back so we understand learning a bit better. If you look at learning, learning is a process. Okay, it's a flow, and it happens lifelong. Learning does not happen in a moment, nor does it happen in a mind in isolation. So learning is not a dot which is enclosed in a box. Informal learning plays a crucial role in connecting all those dots in our life. It connects every single sequence of things that we undergo. We interact, we speak to someone, we look at an internet resource, we have an experience. Informal learning connects all this sequence of dots to make meaning for us. So informal learning, in short, connects our dots in time and in space. That's what it does. My talk today is going to be about challenging our fundamentals around, or our fundamental belief around how we measure learning. Yeah, the whole process of measuring this learning. And I will also propose a framework as part of my talk, which I've successfully implemented and I've seen results to be very positive. Let me rewind back to 1999. That's almost 17 years back. And that was my first confrontation with this word called informal learning. I had enrolled myself in the University of Bristol, which is for my master's program. And as part of the program, I had to present a thesis. Okay, the thesis carried about 60 credits, which is a significant portion of my program. And as part of the thesis, I had to kind of work on a particular topical area for a period of about 6 months. I had the privilege in those days to work under a scientist by the name of Dr. Mark Randall, a very, very brilliant researcher, and I was just fortunate to be working with him. I worked with Mark for a period of 6 months in a topic called genetic algorithms and real-time forecasting. Genetic algorithms was a fairly new subject in those days, and we were limited with the amount of information we had to research on that topic. So my research involved meeting a lot of people. I had to travel to London to meet industries. I had to travel to Scotland to meet universities and other eminent researchers. So I traveled a lot in those 6 months to kind of engage with variety of researchers to make sense out of this word called genetic algorithms. In the end, it so happened that, I had to put everything that I found into a standard template report, and I had to sit through a defense which lasted for 30 minutes in front of an eminent panel of researchers, which was chaired by Dr. Randall. Unfortunately, it so happened that Dr. Randall had a stroke a week before my thesis defense, and he didn't make it. He passed away tragically. I attended this particular thesis, which was chaired by someone totally different. And in the end, I was given a paper which said I got a credit. A credit is something which is lower than a distinction in the UK system. And I missed my chance at winning the gold medal in those days. After the dust settled and my anger and frustration settled, I came up with 3 observations. Okay, the first observation was, how on earth can a 6-month journey, which included so much of painstaking work, be ignored and done with in 30 minutes of a thesis defense? That was the first observation I had. The second one was like, why are we so obsessed measuring the learning outcome and we tend to ignore the learning process itself? Isn't the destination or the journey more important than the destination itself? So these 3 things led me to believe that we have a very incapacitated system that is not able to measure our journey at all. In fact, it is ignored to a great extent. I kept this realization back in 1999. I tried to do something about it, but we didn't have technology that supported what I wanted to do. Internet was still 256 kbps. There was nothing called online knowledge networks or social networks those days. And information was not as much as we see it today. So I parked that idea and I moved on. In 2007, I had the privilege to kind of work with the Department of Education in Australia. And I headed a space which was called Education Technologies. In that particular space, I was responsible for 20,000 faculty members and about 500,000 students. So that gave me a great bet to kind of start my work again in informal learning. During that period, and interacting with numerous faculty and students, again I made 3 significant observations. Those observations were, the first one was, I was facing a student community which was primarily a Generation Y, Generation Z. Okay, they are called the millennial generation. They are very gadget friendly. Okay, they are very gadget friendly. They are used to ubiquitous online computing. The second observation I made was 80% of the learning that was happening with these students was happening outside the class walls. So they were kind of going and chasing whatever they wanted to do outside the class walls. The third major observation that I made was we were still in the archaic system of disengaged method of assessment. Quite similar to what I faced in 1999. I saw the situation didn't change in 2012. And you would agree to me that we are in 2016, we are exactly where we were back in 1999. Okay, so these 3 observations kind of led me to 3 simple ingredients. I call them ingredients, and they are on your screen. The first ingredients was the millennial generation. The second was ubiquity, access, which was enjoyed by these generations. And the third thing was motivations and aspirations. The one thing that you check out with this young generation is their ability to be motivated, and they aspire to become something they will pursue to the end. And we will have no idea of what they are pursued, how they are pursued. So these 3 things led me to believe that, yes, there is a potential to kind of give meaning to informal learning in some shape or form. I quit my job in 2012 in Australia, and I relocated back to India to start my work in the space of informal learning. And during the starting phase of, I said like, how do we go about this? How do we kind of make sense out of this whole thing? So I started my work with a simple framework. I said like, let's draw up a simple framework that will help my work. So the framework goes like this. The first bit of the framework had what we call as knowledge network communities. Knowledge network communities are students or any individual interacting or connecting with others, which we do very well with LinkedIn's and other social networking sites. So we can have a community which is called a knowledge network community. So we came up with this word called knowledge networks. Okay, quite different to social networks, knowledge networks. To this, we added a flavor which we call the 4 A's, which means anybody in this network is connected with each other anytime, anywhere, anyhow, meaning through any device. It can be on a laptop or a mobile or whatever, and the interaction can be asynchronous. Means it doesn't need to be real time. Okay, I can be asynchronous with my communication with the other person. To this, we added what we called as an interaction engine. Okay, now what happens online is our ability to interact and engage with different types of people is fairly enhanced. We tend to share, we tend to comment, we kind of reshare, we curate knowledge, we do a variety of things in the online space. Now this interaction engine was supposed to go and find out what types of interactions a person was doing. How is he engaging? How is he learning by the minute? How is the informal learning in particular areas is growing? And a variety of other analytics were built around this. We built a machine learning algorithm over and above. So I devised a machine learning algorithm that kind of actually went and mined a lot of these interactions that were happening in the knowledge community. And what we did was we provided a measurement. In the end of the day, we were able to kind of measure that a particular person was learning a particular topic in a particular way with a particular trend. Okay, or this person was engaging with X number of people to learn Y number of things. So a lot of the journey was being measured. And the final bit to the framework was showcase. Now we were able to measure individuals and showcase it to, say, for recruitment, for jobs, for thesis work, or for going abroad, even for higher studies. So that was the power of this particular framework. How did we go about creating this framework? We kind of implemented this in 2 of India's leading engineering colleges. Okay, and in one engineering college, we kind of implemented this. We invited students, faculty, alumni, industry experts, everybody to be part of that community and to learn informally, basically to connect and learn informally. Okay, there is no formal structure around it. We even convinced a few faculty members to kind of say that, hey, you got 50 marks for this particular assignment. Why don't you put 25 marks for the journey? Let the students learn informally this particular subject. And in the end, our measurement will tell you how to rate them or rank them. Okay, so measure the journey. So we had one case study. We picked a subject called composite materials. Okay, it was a 7th semester elective. It was final year students. So we all know that how final year students attend classes in the final year. So it was a totally disengaged model. So we went week 1 to this particular class and we told them, hey guys, look, you don't need to attend the classes for the project work that you need to do for composite materials. Here is a knowledge network for you. You build your assignment through a totally informal mean, and in week 12, we will have a presentation. Okay? So this particular group of students went away. Of course, they never showed their faces till week 12. And we were surprised with the results that we achieved. We had 48 students who participated in that knowledge network. There were more than 3,500 interactions that were recorded. And in a space of 50 days, we managed to pull together 40 research papers on that particular subject, all done by these students and different. Now, the biggest feedback I got out of this process was students' ability to kind of be the masters of their time. Students' ability to kind of master the depth to which they wanted to go with this particular subject. And the third best bit was to gain motivation from other fellow students who are trying to do something in this space. Oh, that guy is doing something, let me also. And this happened totally through a knowledge network-based system. And the best part of this is finally informal learning found its meaning. In the same college, what we did was we picked 10 top students, okay, 10 top students who had very good informal learning. They were learning a lot informally because we had their measures. And we took the same to colleges. We took the same to foreign universities, like the University of Washington, etc. And we also took it to industries to see that, hey, do you kind of consider this to be an apt measure of, or an apt way to kind of measure this journey? And we found overwhelming response from the industries to say that, yes, there is meaning to this whole story. On the screen that you'll find is a typical profile that we presented to the industry. So we were not only able to present the journey, but we were also able to measure the traits of that particular individual. So a particular individual is proactive. Is that individual a team worker? Has that individual have the collaborative skills to kind of work together and build knowledge? So informal learning is not just about learning something. It is also about presenting yourself to the outside world. And that is the meaning which we have provided through our research. So in short, to kind of conclude, we can see that informal learning has a lot of meaning in our lives. We can also see that technology provides us a basis to provide meaning to this journey which was long lost. So we have all the basis to make informal learning work in our lives, not only to measure it, but to showcase it to everyone who you are going to meet in future. So do you all agree that informal learning has a way forward? Is that a yes? Yeah. So let's get started, and thank you very much.